The Sufis say God is black. There's a reminder of an allegory. It's the allegory of the young man by the name of Hamid, who was born in a small village nestled by a tall, steep mountain. From the earliest age, Hamid would hear whisperings in his village of the great saint who lived in a cave in the high mountain. And from that early age, he had longing to receive the teachings of this sage. But he knew it was not his time. He was not ready. But he prepared himself by reading the ancient texts, practicing the rituals associated with the faith of that place. And after some years, one morning he awoke, and he felt in his deepest being, I am ready. So he set out to climb the steep mountain. It was jagged, craggy, and many times he slipped as he traversed the place where there was no path, making his way as best he can, keeping in sight that place where it was said to have the cave in which the great saint lived. And finally, after great and arduous effort, he arrived at the edge of the cliff, and with great difficulty climbing over, there in front of him, sitting on a large stone, in front of a cave with its great cavernous opening behind him, he had arrived, scrambling over to the feet of the great saint, sitting in lotus position on his stone. He prostrated himself, and panting he said, "Oh, I've arrived. Please, please teach me. I've been preparing myself." The great saint fixed his eyes on Hamid, his dark gaze piercing the very being of Hamid's heart, and pointing, he said, "Go." Hamid wept, but I've learned, I've studied, I've practiced. And even more fiercely, the great saint, pointing out to the edge of the cliff, "Go." Hamid, with tears flowing down his cheeks, scrambled to the edge of the cliff, and with great reluctance he turned to make his way down the mountain. But to his great surprise, his steps were light, It seemed that his feet almost did not touch the crags, the rocks, the juttings. And then he crossed the meadow that took him back to his house. And his parents asked him, "Well, what did the saint say?" And Hamid said, "He has given me my instructions. I must go." So Hamid, asking his mother to prepare food for his way, the very next morning, taking his flask, his bread, his cheese, he set out to where he did not know. His wanderings took him far and wide. He came to a farmhouse where the farmer gave him work and lodging. Hamid was such a good worker. The farmer asked him to remain. And in the days in which he labored for the farmer's daughter fell in love with him and beseeched her father to allow them to marry. The farmer gave his permission, but when he went to Hamid, offering the hand of his daughter to him, even though Hamid himself was drawn to this maiden, the voice of his master rang in his ears. Go, go. So again he set out on the road. Many adventures, one of them being a time when he came to a town where a jeweler invited him to become his apprentice. And Hamid learned to fashion the delicate bracelets, necklaces and earrings that were demanded by the people of the day. The jeweler wanted to make him his partner, to take over the jewellery shop when he passed. And of course, Hamid, enjoying as he did the creativity, the great attention and focus that jewellery making needed. But before his lips could agree, his heart cried with the sound of his master's voice, "Go, go." But as his travels continued, he was giving out the distinguishable signs of enlightenment, wisdom, knowledge, and people came to him. The years passed by, and one day Hamid came to a mountain, and his memories were stirred of his mountain, now far away, and he who sat on the stone, on the ledge, in the mist, at the top of that mountain. And Hamid's heart guided him back to the village where long since his parents had died, his house now in ruins. But turning, Hamid looked up at the mountain and wondered, was the saint still alive? And so he made his way. And now, after his years of travelling, although middle age, and there was grey in his hair, his feet were light as they traversed the path up the mountain to the ledge. As he climbed over, there sat the saint, legs crossed on the great stone, the opening to the cavernous cave behind him. This time, Hamid did not prostrate himself before the saint, but stood before him, tall. Their eyes met, and now instead of the piercing, dark gaze of the great saint, there was reflected a great, great opening. He bowed his head, and at that moment the saint spoke. He said, "When you came, I said, go, go, go." And rising up from his stone, taking Hamid's hand, he said, "Now I say, come, come, come." And leading Hamid into the great opening of the cave, into the darkness within, where Hamid experienced that existence, the sage, and he himself were enveloped, embraced, swallowed by the vast, endless, dark. There is a Sufi saying, there are those who don't know that they don't know. Shun them. There are those who don't know that they know. Guide them. There are those who know and know